So how do you overall assess your success in Afghanistan for 10 years? You have completed a lot of projects. So maybe you can tell us like one of the biggest projects that you think you can highlight it for our audience.
Absolutely. We're very proud of our education programs, our basic education programs. We worked really hard to try to get more children in school, especially girls. And we're especially proud of our community-based education program because when you're trying to get more girls in school, it's really important to pay attention to the barriers to girls' education. And lots of times, if a girl lives too far away from a school, she may not feel secure in getting there. So we worked really hard to make sure that girls could be educated, even if it meant educating them at home, that they got that education. And then we expanded that a little bit further so the schools were close to home and always with women teachers. And so we began to do the research on it and we found out that it was working. So not only part of the legacy of Afghanistan is finding out that in any country where it's difficult for girls to go to school, if you can locate the schools closer to the girls so that brothers or fathers can make sure that they get to school safely, that attendance is going to go up and girls are going to have an opportunity. So not only are we doing it in Afghanistan, we're investing more of our resources in community-based schools, but we're also trying that in other countries as well.
Great. And that was my next question, which you responded. And tell us about your trip to Afghanistan. What was your takeaway? How did you find the education system there?
Well, I've been a teacher for 40 years. I've taught primarily 13-year-olds, so 13-year-old girls have always been. Adolescent girls are a specialty of mine. So I can't tell you how gratifying it was for me to go to a school in Kabul and to see 5-year-old girls. It was a neighborhood school, 6,000 girls in that school, 2,000 at a time. They were going in shifts, but little girls, 5-year-olds walking to school, eating their sweets. And also I had a chance to go to a class with 17-year-old girls, high school girls, who were really excited for the opportunity. And when I asked them what they wanted most next, they wanted more education. They wanted the opportunity to continue going to school and getting advanced education. So we're looking forward to working on that too. But for me, just to be there at that school and to see the wonderful women teachers and these girls having the opportunity to learn, and it wasn't necessarily the best and the brightest, it was every girl in that neighborhood. So that was really special for me.
The last project was for Afghan judges. And how do you see this as a success? And there were a lot of women involved as well. So do you think teaching this, like training these judges, especially women, will help them to get justice, what they look for?
Absolutely. I think it's important for a lot of reasons. When girls are looking for what they want to be when they grow up, they need good role models. And there's a wonderful young woman who we can talk about a little bit. Her name is Ms. Abbasi, and she was a law student and had the opportunity to be a part of the moot court and then became a judge, and she's actually an international judge, and she'll be the first Afghan international judge that the moot court system has ever had. So she's a great role model for other women and for girls who are growing up, so that they can see there are a range of things that women can be. But training the judges is really important because when you make women aware of their rights, then you need to have a justice system that makes sure that you can protect the rights that the hard-earned rights that they've won. So what we're doing in conjunction with the government of Afghanistan is to train judges, existing judges, to train new judges to make sure that they understand all of the laws, especially those pertaining to women. And then we're giving them lots of experiences so that they can be better at what they're doing. Law court clerks, all of the people connected with the justice system. So we're really proud of that too, and that will continue on into the future as well.
That's wonderful. And also USAID have given some amount of money, like 40 billion to Afghan American University. And what was the goal and who did you target and how successful was it?
Well, the first thing to understand is that we've done these kinds of universities in a lot of other countries around the world. And we wanted to create one here in Afghanistan as well. So it is $40 million. It's over 5 years, and partly it will help train faculty and build the capacity of the university. It will be for students to get lots of experiences, including a new business school. And I think that's particularly important because in order to build the economy of Afghanistan, it's going to be important for men and women to have business experience, not only traditionally from Afghanistan, to find out how people are doing business around the world. So this business school will be on an American style business MBA, a master's of business, business masters. And so it will give Afghan students the opportunity to experience, without leaving the country necessarily, the experience of finding out how business is taught in other countries, and it will be taught in English. So I think that'll be a real drawing point. But it's a significant contribution, and again, one of the most important things here is that young women, and now boys and girls, are getting an education, an elementary school education, so they want to be able to go on, like the 17-year-old girls. When you get to your high school graduation, you want it to be not the end of something, but the beginning of the next stage. And so what's going to happen here as we invest in the higher education systems and build the capacity there, the more we teach children to read and they go through the whole system, they're going to want higher education. So this is going to give them an opportunity to go on. But in the past, a lot of girls haven't had as many opportunities as boys to get into the university system, and it's one of the reasons why we created the scholarship, the Afghan Women's Scholarship as well.
That's wonderful. Let's Girl Learn is a very good initiative, so Afghan girls, I'm sure, is part of it.
Absolutely.
Let Girls Learn is really fun because it's a way for people who have never experienced anything about what we're doing with education in the rest of the world, especially an American audience, to understand a little bit about what we're doing. So 30 celebrities of all different kinds said that they would do an ad for us on TV. And it's a wonderful ad. You can go see it at #LetGirlsLearn. And they are, each of them has their own constituency and their own fan base. And we hope that it will really call the world's attention to some of the things that we're doing. But at our iftar dinner at USAID a few weeks ago, Dr. Shah, our administrator, announced that we were establishing, starting this fall, a scholarship program for Afghan women. And it's going to give Afghan women the opportunity, more opportunities, to make that transition from primary school to high school and then to college. And that's a $20 million commitment over 5 years. But it doesn't end at 5 years, because we're thinking all of these programs are about the future. So at the same time that we're creating the scholarship program for the next 5 years, we'll also be working with other donors to help create a sustainable program so that girls who are now 5 still have the opportunity to take advantage of this program when they get to be a little bit older. And these scholarships will be chosen certainly for academic excellence. It'll be financial need and also leadership skills, because your intellectual life is important, but part of this is about training the leaders for tomorrow. And actually, girls in Afghanistan haven't had it hasn't been easy for them to make that transition, often because after school, when the classes are held for the exams, they have to go home to do the work that they haven't gotten done during the day. So we don't have nearly enough women teachers in Afghanistan. It's one of the things USAID does really well, is to train teachers, and we'll be training about 170,000 more teachers over the next few years. But those teachers will be able to help those young women practice and get ready for the exams, because sometimes it's knowing how to take a test. It's not just the content of the test. So we're excited about that too.
That's great. Like when the troops leave beyond 2014, and you have some current projects for, let's say, women leadership, girls' education and stuff, what's going to happen? Are they going to be affected with the youth withdrawal, or you will continue?
When I was in Afghanistan, I talked to a lot of young women, not just those 17-year-olds in school, but a little bit older women wondering about their future. And I think all of the things we've just talked about, whether it's our early education program that's teaching children to read and trying to get more girls in school, whether it's the scholarship program, whether it's the business master's degree at the American University of Afghanistan, all of those are being created, and most of them are just starting. So just starting means that most USAID programs go for 5 years and beyond. And so we have made a commitment to the future here in Afghanistan that will long outlast the troops leaving. So we've made a commitment, and we're really looking forward to continuing and to starting a lot of new programs. A lot of these are just beginning.
I spoke to Administrator Shaw. He told me that it doesn't have to do anything with the troops, because even we don't have a military presence somewhere, we still give some money for education and these things, which is very important.
The troops are one part.
The troops are one part of our foreign policy, but the logo for USAID is the U.S. Agency for International Development on behalf of the American people. So these programs that I'm talking about are on behalf of the American people. And we also work with other donors when we're in the country as well. So it certainly is about our agency and trying to create sustainable programs in the country that will long outlast not only military presence, but also the development presence. We want to create sustainable programs that Afghans can continue after we're gone as well. And I think one of the key words here, whether it's men or women, but especially for women because they haven't had as many chances, is to create the skills for leadership, which sometimes transcend intelligence. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room to be a great leader. Certainly intelligence helps, but the Promote program is one of those programs that will continue on into the future, as well as the others we've talked about. And that's a pretty important program too for building leadership.
There might be some challenges for you, or you face some challenges, or especially security-wise. So do you see what's going to happen with the new leadership in Afghanistan and security transfer and the education opportunities or education efforts you're doing? How it's going to be affected?
Well, the Afghan people can certainly make their own choices about that, and that's not my expertise. But I did want to say one more thing about Promote, because we didn't talk so much about that, and it really is an opportunity for young women, and we're going to try to touch 75,000 women with the Promote program. That's a major investment, and it will be leadership skills. It will be business and entrepreneurial skills, because we talked about the scholarship program, but the Promote program is for anybody, whether you go to college or not. So maybe you want, when you get out of high school, you want to start a business, and you need a little help with small business and financial advice. Maybe you want to go into politics. Maybe you want to be a community leader, a community organizer. Maybe you want to work for government. So all 4 of those aspects are part of the Promote program. So our specialty, and as I said, I think with all of these programs, our legacy in Afghanistan is multifaceted, but certainly education on behalf of the American people. And as a teacher, I just also want to say that, my grandmother was a 19-year-old teacher in a very rural area of America at a time when we were still a developing country. And my aunts taught in these same rural schools, the community-based schools that we're talking about in Afghanistan. And then my grandmother had no formal education to begin with. My aunts had 2 years of education. I had 4 years plus a master's degree. So you can see what happens if you educate a girl and put her near schools, even in a very rural area and a very remote area, in a country that's developing. And eventually, you have teachers like me who have advanced degrees and are here on behalf of our country, saying we think education is important and we want to do everything we can to make sure that every child in Afghanistan has the benefit of an education.
That's wonderful. And any message for the young girls who are watching you and they're looking at education for bright future?
Never say I can't. It's always I can, because if you set your mind to something and you get an education, nobody can take that away from you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you too. Thanks for the opportunity.
I enjoyed talking to you, especially the Promote was very big.